Hello, Mr. Randy here. We're going to take a look at our first of two assemblies for this week. And I'm going to start by just showing you kind of the finished output here. This is a B-size drawing, left side view, front view, and a back isometric view here. Notice this is a little unique because I probably won't talk much about this drawing. In that in our assembly, the front view, we have hidden lines showing so that you can see those internal features. But in the other two views, hidden lines are off, but tangent edges are on with font. Okay, tangent edges in all the views. And we have a bill of materials like you've done before. We're going to talk mainly about this intermediate piece here, the arm. So let's back up to the detail drawing for the arm and have a look at this. First thing I want you to note is the exterior of the body here. There's no radius for that arc. We don't see any radius in either situation. We do have a radius on this inside arc, but not the outside. All we have is a start diameter, end diameter of 22, and at the midpoint, a diameter of 28. So we're going to have to loft this surface, and a loft just creates a solid between various shapes. In this case, we're going to do 3 circles. So I'm going to drag this out of the way. Remember that we are 50 millimeters back to the mid and then 100 millimeters back. So let's pull this out of the way here and let's take a look at how this happens in SolidWorks. I'm going to turn my front plane on so we can see it. And let's turn planes on so we have those planes there. I already created these, so let's delete those so you can see how that happens. Alright, sorry about that. So to get my back planes, you can certainly go to the reference geometry tool. However, when they're just parallel planes, I much prefer holding the control key down and dragging. And we'll go back 50 millimeters. And then again, we'll hold the control key down and drag that front plane a second time. Let's try this one more time. SolidWorks does get a little twitchy sometimes about that, and we'll go back 100 millimeters. All right, there are 3 planes that we're going to be working on. I'm going to go right to the front plane. I'm going to start a sketch. I'm going to draw a circle, and then we'll dimension it, excuse me, at 22 millimeters. Close that sketch. Let's go normal 2. I'm going to go to the second plane. You don't need to do this in this order, but I'm going to. I'll start a sketch. We'll do a circle, and then we'll dimension it at 28. Close that sketch, and then back on plane 4, start a sketch. We'll take this circle and convert it. Hit OK. Close that sketch. Okay. So there are my 3 sketches now for my lofted surface. And I'm going to turn planes off. We're going to get those out of the way. Now, when you're creating a loft, you do have to be careful. So we're going to start a lofted feature here. I'm going to grab this front circle, and then I'll grab the second circle, and I think you can see immediately that you have to be careful how you pick the sketches in doing lofts, because you can incorporate a twist, and this is obviously a very severe twist. With circles, you know, I can kind of eyeball where I selected there, and then I can eyeball on this one, but I think you can see we're still getting some twist, which we really don't want. You might not notice this in the finished model, but it's there. So I'm going to clear selections here. And instead, let's do this. And really, if you're lofting circles, this is the best way to go. We're going to start by just selecting the sketch, and then we'll select sketch 5, and then we'll select sketch 6. And this gives us a nice, straight, untwisted loft. When you have squares, rectangles, features that have corners, you can pick geometry fairly easily. But with circles, it's more useful if you don't want to incorporate any twist to just pick the circles. We'll hit OK now. Now we have a lofted shape there. The second sketch, I don't think I'm going to draw it. I just want to point it out to you. There is a 10 millimeter radius, if you will, circle here. The center point is 2 millimeters in. And then there's a large 175 R circle, and then a second 10 millimeter circle over here. This would be a cut revolve, so you should just do half of that internal shape in there. Get it fully defined, cut revolve it to get that out of there. And then finally, these slots, you can see there's 4 on each end. They are 15 millimeters deep, if you will, and they're 2 millimeters across. On the front plane again, I would probably, I'm sorry, on the right side plane, I'd probably sketch one rectangle, cut it through all in one direction, circular pattern it, and then mirror it down to the other end. Okay? So give that a try. You should be familiar with all those techniques. Now, the second thing we want to do is look at the assembly for just a minute. So I'm going to scroll back down here through the parts. And you're going to start an assembly and actually do a sketch. And in that sketch, from the origin, on the front plane of the assembly, you're going to do a sketch and draw a center line, horizontal center line going to the right, and a vertical center line going straight up. We need them to give dimensions to place this geometry. Okay, so that's their purpose. Then we can hide that sketch. All right. So let's kind of take a look at that. I'm going to close this part. I'm not going to save it. And let's start an assembly. And we'll browse. And let's get to that file. Oops, wrong week. So I'll bring in the mount base. And we're going to drop that on the origin. Now I'm going to go right to my front plane and start a sketch. Let's go normal 2. And I'm going to draw construction lines to the origin and then up. Don't have to be real big. Now let's insert component again. And let's grab the arm, drop that out in space, and one more. We'll grab the adapter and place that. Okay, so right off the bat, let's get planes turned off here. Don't need to see those. And let's get a couple mates going here. So we're going to start the mate tool. Sorry. The mate tool. We're going to pick this spherical surface here and this one here. Maybe. There we go. Concentric. And now this part should be swiveling around that feature. We'll take this sphere and this sphere again and concentric that. All right. Now I'm going to first of all go to wireframe, and I'm going to turn on temporary axes. And I want to lock this arm down so that it can't swing Can't swing this way. I want to lock it right down like so. So I'm going to actually mate this axis to the front plane. Okay. So we're going to go to the mate tool, and I have that axis, and then I'm going to grab the front plane of the assembly and hit OK. That'll lock that down. Now I'll get that 30-degree mate in there, so we'll grab the sketch line and we'll grab the axis, and we're going to say angle 30 degrees. It's going to do something rather crazy, so we're going to flip that mate. That's still not what we want. I'm going to come way over here into Feature Manager and flip the dimension, and oftentimes it takes all those buttons to figure out the proper mate. So flip dimension and flip mate do different things, and ultimately you can usually get your orientation. Now I'm going to kind of twist this around if I can. There we go. And I'm going to grab one of these edges here, right there. And I'll grab this bottom line, and we'll do an angular mate at 60 degrees. And again, we've got something really crazy going on here. I'm not sure we'll get there from here. And so I flipped the dimension, and let's flip the mate alignment, and we'll flip the dimension again, and we're probably pretty close there. Let's hit OK and see if we can work with that. I think we'll be able to work with that. The last thing we want to do, you'll notice in your assignment handout, that it shows this face parallel to the front plane. So let's take a look at that. Let's zoom up on this. We're in the mate tool. I have a flat face right here. Be very careful what you click on. You want to get that face, not one of the edges. So we want this face parallel to the assembly front plane. We're going to get an error because it can't make a coincident. We're going to say parallel and hit OK. Now let's look at this thing in a front view. And we have that profile we're after right there. Okay, so a little tricky. Takes some playing with the mate alignments to get it to look right, but it certainly is doable. The only thing we have is this part spins right now. If you want to, pretty that up, then you'd have to create a mate to do so, or you can just eyeball it. Then we can import these into the 2D drawing to make that happen. The last thing we want to do here, I want to show you how to create this back ISO view. So to get this view, assuming you've done everything according to the front plane, it says go to a front view, hit the right arrow key 3 times and the down arrow key once, and then press the space bar to open the view and click on New View. So let me show you how that works. I am in a front view. Let's get out of the mate tool here. I'm going to turn off that sketch now. We don't need to see it anymore. And we can turn off temporary axes, get those out of the way. So I'm going to hit the right arrow key 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And the arrow keys rotate the view 15 degrees each time you tip. And then I'm going to hit it down 1 time. And that gives me this view orientation, which is different from any of the normal views we can get from this. Then I'm going to press the space bar. It's the fastest way to get the orientation toolbar. And I want a new view. And I'm going to call this back ISO and hit OK. Notice that gets added to the list now. And then when you insert this part into assembly, when you insert this assembly into a drawing, you can choose the back ISO view to bring in that little isometric view in your B-size sheet. So this is your final product again, front and right side view. Should be 1:1. And then shrunken down 1:2 scale back ISO to kind of show the appearance of it from the back side. All right, good luck.